Hey, I mean, that was a good point.
I think we might start seeing some go back. Week 5 of the football season, folks. We always say it goes by fast. And here's the other weird thing. This week will be the first all 4A game I'm seeing in person this year so far.
Oh, that's right. You're heading down to Wimberley,
Yeah,
right?
I'm heading down to Wimberley and Lampasas to watch that game. It's just been one of those where we saw China Spring to begin things, but 3A and 2A, as far as the non-district games, been where it's at. But I have a funny feeling we're going to be living in 4A come district play. Hello, everybody. I'm Terry Bennett. That's Grant Goodwin. This is Sideline to Sideline, the Class 4A edition, brought to you by SI Design and Printing, Power Plus Mouthguard, Small Town Society, and the Munster Chamber of Commerce. And we're getting to, oh, by the way, go ahead and get this out of the way now. I'll probably say it again later. Next week's our bye week, so we're probably not going to do a show, or I might do something with like Matt Diggs or maybe a couple coaches. I haven't decided. Honestly, I might just take the Tuesday off. It's kind of nice. Like tonight, you're kind of having to be good, Grant. And so like tonight, we've already recorded 2 shows, and they're not going to get weird, Grant. We're going to get weird Coach X. I'm going to tell you that right now, man. He's off his rocker.
You want weird? I'll give you weird if that's what you want.
That was a little threatening.
No, I'm asking.
Would
you like weird? Because if you would, I will give you weird.
I don't think I want anything from you right now.
Okay.
Just a reminder, you can find us on Facebook. Just type in Sideline to Sideline, like us on, or find us on Twitter at Grant and Terry. Follow us on Twitter at Grant Terry. Email us, Grant and Terry at s2ssport.com. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to start it up. Review of week 4, preview of week 5, Coach X and more. Sideline to Sideline, the 4A edition, right here on L4 Media.
Helmets don't protect every direction of force, and in some sports, a helmet just isn't part of the equipment, like basketball or soccer. Hockey has a small type of helmet. They just don't protect you against all the directions of forces that come into play. You can get forces on top of your head, on the side, on the back, but under the chin, there's nothing to protect that except for a physiologically positioned jaw. Putting your jaw in its physiologic rest position brings the actual jawbone away from the skull, so that when you receive that force from an impact, that force doesn't get translated through the joint into that cradle of the skull, injuring the brain.
All right, Terry and Grant Goodwin back here, Sideline to Sideline, the 4A edition, brought to you by SI Design and Printing, right here on L4 Media. And where do you want to start as we review week 4?
How about let's start with Brownwood 46, Glenrose 34. You know, Brownwood had 3 turnovers that led directly to 20 points for Glenrose.
Yeah, you want to say that's a good sign, but I was a little worried when I saw the score. Like, man, Glenrose, offensively, going into this game, they hadn't scored more than 20 points. And so then started reading the thing and said, okay, you don't want those turnovers to happen, of course, but they happen. Also, I call back.
Yeah,
I think that, not that the guy that stepped in last week had a great game, but he's not iCall. And so for iCall to be back after
he had 286 yards passing last week.
What, last week?
Yeah.
Well, I know, but he was out for, you're talking about the backup quarterback.
No, I called it. I thought.
No, that was Jamarian Vincent.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, I called missed the game. That was your notes.
Oh,
yeah, it was your notes. Yeah, he hurt his shoulder. Now, if that's not true, then just nix everything I said. But going off of what last week and that he had hurt his shoulder. But either way,
I do know Brownwood racked up like 555 yards of total offense.
Yes.
So whoever was back there, wow. Right?
Yeah.
They got a big one against Brownwood has a big one against Conley this week. And I'm going to tell you right now, if Brownwood beats Conley, I think we got to go to the Stephenville Brownwood game next week.
And even if it's a really close game, I think maybe we, as long as Brownwood stays within shouting distance.
Let's see. That's in Brownwood.
It's a bucket list for me.
Yeah, pretty cool place to see the entrance, especially of Brownwood entering the field. And then also we could stay somewhere, maybe in Brownwood or something, and then drive to Bryan that Saturday for Hitchcock.
Oh, that's right. That's the same weekend.
Yeah.
That's not a bad drive.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like that.
It is a bad drive.
Not with you, buddy.
Oh, okay.
All drives are good.
It's a horrible drive.
No,
if you put it that way.
Wow. All right. What about
Smells? Just, I don't know. Huh?
Those are from you, buddy. Abilene Wiley beats Stephenville 42-32. Stephenville kind of making a habit of this. They get down by a lot early. They do storm back.
Yeah, it was 30. They were down, 35-10 late in the third.
Yes.
Got it back to like 35-32 with about 5 minutes left in the game. Like, what's going on?
You can't keep doing that.
No.
Look, you have.
I mean, it cost them this week against Wiley.
And it cost them last year against Alvarado. It cost them last year in the playoffs.
Yeah.
It's a fun thing that you have this ability to do these comebacks, and it's epic, and you've got a mystique about you. But the problem is even if you do it 80% of the time in season and they're successful, when are those other 20%? Now, this was a non-district game. And let's be fair, Abilene Wiley has bounced back from struggling for a few years. Last year, they went 14 games into the season, but they got beat by Brownwood to start the year 35-21. If you just want a comparison, just a little bit of a calibration, Stephenville's got to figure out that defense. I mean, the offense is great. We've talked about the offense.
Ryan Gafford threw for 371 yards. Tristan Gentry, 9 catches for 193. So big offensive game. But
we know they're going to do that. In the day, they've got to figure out that defense.
Yeah. All right. La Vega 49, Lorena 42. Speaking of defense, La Vega's running back Bryson Rowland runs for 124 yards on 16 carries. But Junior Thornton, the quarterback, probably had one of the biggest games a La Vega quarterback has had in a long time. He went 6 of 11 for 151 yards passing and ran for 223 yards.
We've talked about it last week. We'll probably mention it again multiple times, but it's just so weird to see a La Vega team that's led by their offense. The quarterback's a move in. I think it was from Midway. And on the year, you've seen it. They can score with anybody. They scored 35 on Kennedale, 40 on Conley. 21, but Midlothian Heritage is a really good 5A defense. Not just a good team, but a good defense. They scored 49 on the Lorena team that we think is pretty good defensively, but so did China Spring. So to calibrate, just what I said about Stephenville, I'm saying about La Vega. Really, everybody in this district but China Spring, well, and then Waxahachie Life. But when you're talking about Alvarado, Stephenville, and La Vega, you're talking about 3 teams that are probably going to beat up on each other by the tune of like 56-55 type games, because all 3 of them can score, but all 3 of them struggle to stop good offenses.
Yep. All right. How about Iowa Colony 51, Columbia 14? Iowa Colony is now 4-0. No big shocker that they beat West Columbia, but just bringing up the fact we haven't mentioned much of Iowa Colony this year. So something to keep an eye on down there.
Yeah, we talked about them last year, and they kind of, it sounds weird to say this as a new program. I think a lot of people thought last year they were going to be better than they were. They were 2-8. But Ray Garza, we talked to at coach's school this year, he was like, you go back and look at that 2-8, and there was 3 or 4 one-possession games. That easily could have changed. And he was very excited about this year, and we see why, because they're scoring about 45 points a game, and right now they're giving up about 12 points a game. Now, they haven't played the toughest schedule, but still, they're winning. They're going to get a test this week, though, as they're going to take on a Stafford team that, they lost to Belleville and got destroyed, and you kind of went, okay, Stafford's going to be Stafford, but then you realize they beat a Port Lavaca Calhoun team that's turning out to be pretty good.
Stafford's throwing it all over the yard right now, too.
Yes, they beat Sealy, and then they beat Rosenberg Lamar Consolidated. So we're going to get an interesting matchup with Stafford in Iowa Colony in a district that I legitimately think is up in the air. I think anybody could win this district.
All right, Russ 33, Alvarado 30. I thought this was a little bit of an upset the way Alvarado's been playing. But you did mention when I mentioned, I guess, that, being a little bit of an upset. Hey, Rusk is pretty darn good.
Yeah, they went into the fourth quarter. They trailed 22-19. Again, this is going to sound weird, but 33-30 in today's era is not really a shootout, a high-scoring shootout. I honestly thought both of these teams would maybe score double this. I thought this was going to be the classic 60-65 type game. So I'm very impressed with both defenses. Both of these offenses were averaging over 40 points. Rusk, Brady Barrier threw for 268 yards. Spencer Barnett, 5 catches for 73 yards. Brandon Grimes, 5 catches for 68 yards. Chance Washington had a 46-yard touchdown. And that's the thing when you see in today's offense, it's
a lot of production spread out.
Yes, exactly. And they hit 7 different receivers on the night. And Alvarado played really good too, defensively and offensively as well. But they had a couple bad turnovers at the worst time, especially in that fourth quarter. A good win for Rusk and a good game for Alvarado. I think a good showing. This was an interesting matchup of where these two teams are in the state. And so it's kind of fun to see.
And here's an instant classic. That I have not gone back and watched yet, but I'll probably do that tonight or tomorrow. But Salina 42, Anna 40 in 4 overtimes.
Yeah, Anna jumped out 23-9. It looked like they were gonna just kind of
away with it. Yeah,
especially against the Salina team that they pass, but their hay is running. And so you're looking at half and you're thinking, I just don't know if Salina can get back into it. They got 14 points in the third, 7 in the fourth. Both of them got 7 in the fourth, and then they went into overtime. Now, I picked Salina in this game, and I specifically said, though, they can't.
And I thought you were crazy.
Well, for other reasons, but add that on there. But I said it couldn't be a shootout. Now, I know, again, 42-40, but this game was 32-30 or 30-30 at half. I mean, at the end of the game. Again, in today's football, that's not really a shootout.
No, not anymore.
But Salina in that second half, they ended up rushing for over 200 yards in the second half alone. And on the night, Logan Gutierrez ran for 131 yards on 19 carries. Harrison Williams, 21 attempts, 97 carries. And I think that's the difference with Salina this year is it seems like for the last few years, they've always had a back. And they had other backs, but there was a hierarchy. And Salina's always been best when they've got multiple backs. And with Williams and Gutierrez, one's a junior, one's a sophomore. Knox Porter, you're just asking him not to make too many mistakes. He was 9 of 22, 119 yards, but he did have a touchdown. And more importantly, again, no mistakes. And that's what ended up costing Anna. Zeandre Williams threw for 330 yards, but he also had a key interception. Anna's fine. There's a lot into this game. Talking about Brock and Gunner, these two teams don't like each other. And last year, Salina was a little angry because Anna, for the first time in forever, really kind of beat them down. So I think Anna's going to be fine. I do think, though, again, we keep saying this, defense is going to be an issue they've got to figure out before the playoffs.
I think offensively, Anna might be a tick better than they were last year.
Yeah.
Especially, which is surprising given what they lost, two
exactly.
players. But yeah, I think you're right. I think maybe their Achilles heel might be defense. It's not horrible, but I don't think it's quite as good as they were last year. All right, here was a great one. China Spring 61, Waco Conley 41. China Spring had 518 yards of offense. 421 of that was in the first half. And this defense, I know this sounds weird to hold an offense 389 yards of offense, but this China Spring defense did limit Conley to 389 offensively, and that's big against these offensive weapons that Conley has.
And if I'm not mistaken, I think this game was out of hand at half.
Yeah,
I think Conley put on a couple late touchdowns to make it look prettier. And then we talked about that district outside of China Spring. When you look at that district, there's no defense, and that's why even as talented as Stephenville is offensively, and La Vega is offensively, and Alvarado is offensively, I will go ahead. I don't know if China Spring even gets challenged in district this year.
Well, I think they do. I'm not counting out Stephenville. I mean, Alvarado.
I just don't think that they can make enough stops to even be competitive, man.
Yeah,
as of right now. And again, things can change.
I think this that story has been yet to be written for that district.
I'm writing it right now.
Fiction. File it in the fiction.
That's where I live.
Lavernia 39, Navarro 22. Man, Lavernia.
Hey, we called it.
But they just keep answering the bell. Here they are, 4-0, right?
Yes. And we kept saying that, don't count out Livonia for the season, and even in this game. And also, let's remember, Navarro tends to start slow. They'll have a couple wins and they'll have a couple losses, and then they're going to be fine once they hit the district. But to me, this is more about what Livonia did, and we'll be talking more about them here in the coming weeks. Hey, what about that Franklin Jasper game? We talk more about it on the 3A side. If you've listened to both shows, or if you don't, usually when a 3A, 4A plays, the winning team, we talk more about that game on that show. But I wanted just to bring this up simply because I still like Jasper. I still think Jasper did some good things against an offense in Franklin that's just an absolute beast. But in saying that, what is going to hurt Jasper if they're wanting to make a long run is their offense. They need a little bit more offensive consistency. You know, when you play a Franklin team, you got to keep the ball. Like, you cannot let them just grind you down and grind you down and grind you down. And that's kind of what happened in this game. But they're going to be fine. They're going to start district playoff this week with Liberty, and they're going to beat the ever living dog crap of them.
They should beat the brakes off of Liberty, but Jasper's in a really tough district as well.
Yeah.
Belleville 56, Cameron 22.
Kind of like what we called
just
it.
Rolling though.
Yeah, we called it. We said that, Yo is as fun as Yo is offensively. Until I see them respond better against the run team, I'm going to pick the run team against them every time. And that's exactly what happened.
I'd pick Belleville's run game over just about any defenses that are left on that schedule. All right, Newton 58, West Orange Stark 54. KJ Porter, the freshman running back for Newton, scores a touchdown with a few minutes left in the game.
Yep.
And then gets the 2-point conversion, and that kind of wins it for Newton. What a game we missed.
Well, for West Orange Stark, though, they might have found a quarterback. Marcus Turner threw for 200 yards, 4 touchdowns. He did have an interception. It was a kind of a key interception, but still. He also ran for 142 yards and a touchdown. Peralt, their senior, who last year he was the guy that they were trying to work in at quarterback. He's been out playing wide receiver, 4 catches, 158 yards and 3 touchdowns. And you literally, when we watched the PNG game, you were like, why are they? He should be playing anywhere else but quarterback. And I'm telling you, man, I know they lost, but this is impressive because I don't think West Orange Stark's defense is going to give up 50 points every game.
No,
I think this is one of those weird games that if you played these two teams 10 times, it's probably in the 20s. This was that one time where things just happen, big plays get broken, and an exciting game. And you said it best. We've seen 3 of these, and the one we don't go to, it's the 58-54 one.
I don't know how much to talk about this one because I'm pretty sure they called this game at half. But Cuero 22, Cal Allen 14, but I don't think that made it into the third quarter. I think that one got called at half.
Let me look that up. Let's go ahead and move on to the other game, and then we'll come back to it if we.
All right, here's one that'll break your little heart. Carthage 38, Marshall 13.
Okay, you know what?
What?
With everything that's happened since then, that's it's just been weird. I'm not even gonna get into it. We're not a 5A show, but yeah, it's been weird, Marshall, the last couple of weeks. But in this one, I said it. I literally said they're going to win by 21 points.
Oh, yeah.
It was 38-14. They jumped out. They were up 28-0 at half. Surratt's starting to cut down on the mistakes, throwing the ball. He had a couple interceptions early that I saw on film that you could just say, okay, he'll figure that out. And he's figured it out. The defense, one thing, Marshall's offense, and Marshall's a good 5A team if they can get the atmosphere back positive. They're a good 5A team, and they should make the playoffs. But yeah, this just shows where Carthage is right now.
Right.
They handle their business.
Yep. Center does it again. Center 28, Dangerfield 21.
Yeah, big win for Center. I know Dangerfield's 3A, blah, blah, blah. I know without their starting quarterback, but still for Center to need the defense to make some plays.
One of the best offenses in Class 4A. What we thought was the sketchiest defense in 4A among contenders, right?
Yes.
And they answered the bell this week, though.
Yeah, and just kind of file that away because sometimes a lot of the issues with any side of the ball is more of confidence. And maybe they kind of got some confidence because they made that game, by the way, you can see on YouTube at our NETSN brethren. They have the Center broadcast, and that Center defense had to make big plays in that third and fourth quarter and to keep that game going. So I'm very impressed.
All right, here's, I guess, a lack of defense. Man, Gilmer's defense is struggling mightily, right? They pull out the win 59-56 over Lindale. But again, Gilmer's defense just it shows to be kind of I don't know what you'd call it, a liability, right?
Yeah, again, as we've said about Stephenville, as we've said about Anna, as we've said, any team that wants to make a big run, you're going to have to figure out that defense. We thought maybe they had against Kilgore, but now you realize, and this can help them. You realize maybe they're good against a certain type of defense or offense, because in this one, Lindell had their way at times. Gilmer had to come back from a 14-point deficit. Again, just like Stephenville, that's nice. You have a mystique, but you can't live off that when you start playing
that'll bite you.
Yeah, when you play the district games. But in saying all that, man, they're figuring things out. We thought the offense might struggle, but Caden Tennyson, man, he is just doing what Gilmer quarterbacks do. 19 of 38, 405 yards, 4 touchdowns. Oh, by the way, 1 interception on defense. The running back, Will Henderson, 211 yards on the ground, 73 yards through the air. I want to be as impressed with I can with Gilmer's offense.
Yeah, and they've been nothing short of impressive.
But then I go back to that defense, and it's just they've got to figure it out.
Those defenses are what cause you to lose trap games.
Yeah, exactly. And they're in a district where there can be a couple trap games if they don't watch out.
Right. All right. And then how about Bernie 50, Gregory Portland 22? Bernie lost a couple of weeks ago to a private school. They have shown up the last 2 weeks and gotten the ship righted. And we'll see Bernie here pretty soon, right?
Yeah, and they lost to Flower Bluff to begin the season. But you and I talked about that, and I said, I got a feeling that was when it was 120 degrees, and I bet Flower Bluff just kind of out-depth them. And then talking to a couple of Bernie fans, that's kind of how they felt it happened too. Not knocking anything Flower Bluff, but they felt if you'd played that game 5 weeks later that Bernie would win. In this one, I mean, they jumped up early and often, 37 points in the first quarter. The freshman quarterback, Hank Hendricks, threw for 269 yards, 5 touchdowns. The running back Dement had 135 yards. I mean, look, Bernie's not going anywhere, not after this year either. And I'm pretty sure there's going to be 4A again. I don't think they're jumping quite up into 5A yet. So, man, if you thought Bernie was just on a nice little 2-year run, now they're going to roll Region 4 or Region 3, or hell, they might even get put in Region 2 with the way UIL is for a couple years to come. But yeah, good win for them.
Yep. All right. Chapel Hill 42, Nacogdoches 22. Chapel Hill's Ricky Stewart runs for 153 yards on 14 carries. Demetrius Brisbane ran for 177 yards and threw for 186. Again, this Chapel Hill offense still proves to be one of the top in the state. I mean, you got your Silsbys and your Carthages and your Gilmers, Chapel Hills. You hard pressed to find any more that are more explosive than those guys.
Yeah, again, I promise you, we don't try to do this, but a lot of times just the season gives us themes, and the season this year for 4A is explosive offenses and leaky defenses. I was impressed that they held Nacogdoches to 22. Leaky defense. That's probably true. But
Mr. Bennett,
I was impressed that they held Nacogdoches. And people say, well, Nac's 2-2. They lost to Lufkin. That's their rival, but they beat Lumberton. We talked about Lumberton. They beat Lumberton 34-20. And so for Chapel Hill to not have as many turnovers in their defense, you don't even need the defense to be top 5. You just need them to make the other team not score 3 possessions. Because if they don't score 3 possessions, you're probably going to get 21 points up on them before they have anything to do. So again, just more of kind of touching back base with Chapel. We hadn't really talked about them since the Gilmer game, I guess. But we'll be talking a lot about them here in the next few weeks with the district they're in.
All right, I think that's it for the review, right?
All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, it's going to be Coach X and Week 5 4A preview right here on Sideline to Sideline, the 4A edition, brought to you by SI Design and Printing.
Helmets don't protect every direction of force, and in some sports, a helmet just isn't part of the equipment, like basketball or soccer. Hockey has a small type of helmet. They just don't protect you against all the directions of forces that come into play. You can get forces on top of your head, on the side, on the back, but under the chin, there's nothing to protect that except for a physiologically positioned jaw. Putting your jaw in its physiologic rest position brings the actual jawbone away from the skull so that when you receive that force from an impact, that force doesn't get translated through the joint into that cradle of the skull, injuring the brain.
Hey, I mean, that was a good point.
I think we might start seeing some go back. Weekend. Next time we do a show, he will be known as Grant Anderson. He'll be married. First off, again, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
But yeah, we'll see. You always you're saying, like, when I check in with you, how you been? You're like, man, today's been a whipping. So we're gonna see how many days in a row you say that. Anyway, we want to thank one of our sponsors. If you look right here, you see the great shirt. Small Town Society sent that to us. You can find them online. Shop Small Town Society. They have some of the coolest Franklin football shirts you're going to find. I still think my favorite is this sweatshirt that has the old school Lions. That was the 80s look for sports, was the sweatshirt with just the mascot simple name across of it. They have other Franklin wear as well. They have just simple Franklin, Texas shirts that aren't football related. They also have seasonal shirts. They have, Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas. They have it all. You can find them again online at shopsmalltownsociety.com. We also want to thank them for being the title sponsor of the Franklin Football Show. You can hear each and every week here. I also want to thank Munster Chamber of Commerce, Oktoberfest, October 6th, 7th, and 8th. You can find out more information on that at the munsterchamber.com/Oktoberfest. Again, we do appreciate this. You're gonna hate me right here, buddy. Oh, we gotta wait. We gotta vamp. No, hang on. Let me see if I can get this stuff. Okay. Sorry. New board that we got this year. I'm finally getting to play with some of the stuff, but I'd go ahead and say it now. You're going to hate me.
Why?
Listen.
X
gon' give it to you. Wait for you to get it on your own. X gon' deliver to you. Knock, knock, open up the door, it's real.
He as you're about to hear, he's struggling right now. So I thought maybe if we brought back X going to give it to you, he would at least feel
pep
a little
him up a little bit.
And maybe once he'll give me some credit for thinking of him in a trying time. All right, it says Coach X. By the way, if you don't know, Coach X is a real coach. He coaches in Texas, and he likes to fax in information. And everybody thinks I'm kidding. This is literally his stuff right here. You can see it on the camera. That's all his writing. Maybe I should have marked out the email address. I like big butts. I cannot lie, Coach X. All right, here we go. Guys, I got to be honest with you. I'm a little down. I sat down to listen to Tear Bear read my words on the Coach X show because, I have the best words. So I went to a popular high school football message board and saw the thread for the Sideline to Sideline Coach X, Grant, and Terrence show. To my surprise, there was a man on there that called Coach X weird. So that's it. That was the straw that stroked the camel's sack right there. I don't think that's the way it works. This will be my last week on the program. Oh, my God, Grant. We're free.
More me.
Yes, I'm fine with that. That's right. I'm shutting it down. I'm pulling the plug on this thing. I just ordered a pretzel, and I'm going to curl up in the corner and cry. False. That's not going to happen. Dadgummit. So to you, let's go Eagles. I say this. I'm going to get really weird with it. So strap on. No, not that kind, Grant. Settle down. Because once you get in my head, there's no turning back. On with the really weird Coach X portion of the Coach X show. So it's going to be one of those nights, I apparently feel. And hey, at least we have some good games that we can talk to. Where do you want to start?
Let's start at a game you're going to be at. How about Lampasas at Wimberley?
Yeah, this is, again, you're going to be gone. This is my first full, true 4A game in person this year.
4A on 4A.
Yeah, 4A on 4A.
What's weird is we seen more 3A games in person this year. It's just how it's worked out. But
Yeah.
I've seen more 4A games total because I'm watching every top 15 team.
Well, and that's part of it. That's
going back and watching their games.
And that's part of why we've been doing it like that is, thankfully we have more and more teams that have their broadcast available. So like I was saying, I sent you the full link to the Salina game. I watched the Center Dangerfield game. So that's a lot of the reason why. But don't worry, we're going to end up hitting just as many as we always do. But yeah, going into this game, I was told at the beginning of the year that watch out for Lampasas. They might be back, and all that. And I was like, okay, we'll file that away. Last year they were 6-5 with a young team, but they lost a lot of their offense. But man, they have come out rolling this year. They're 4-0. They beat a solid Pflugerville Connolly team 36-28 last week, down in that game until the fourth quarter. I don't know what they're going to do against Wimberley, but I had to pick this game because I want to see if Lampasas is 2019 Lampasas. That was 13-2. And it's funny because Coach
I don't think they are, but they're pretty good, I think.
Yeah. And again, they don't necessarily have to be that good. The district they're in now is nowhere where it was, where they were that time. That was when they were with Austin Johnson and, San Antonio Davenport. They've kind of started out a little bit slow. They're 2-2, but their wins aren't really beat Victoria West, beat Lockhart, lost to Kerrville Tivy, lost to San Antonio Piper. That's the hot school of the moment for private schools. But, with Lampasas this year, I don't think they have to be 2013 or 2019 good to get through the playoffs, but I'm curious to see, past that. Let's see where Lampasas fits in this playoff race. And I think seeing a game against Wimberley,
Wimberley's got a really, really good offensive line. I was so impressed going back and watching that Brock game that they kind of put it on Brock, especially late in the game. That offensive line that's just solid, fundamentally sound. And then that Cody Stover, the quarterback, and two great receivers, and Noah Birdsong and Nolan Wada. I just, I walked away nothing but impressed with Wimberley against Brock.
But you brought up a good point last week when we were at the Brock Gunner game and we're watching what Gunner did to Brock. And you just, you kind of left an open-ended question of, does this change how we look at Wimberley? Because Brock could have won that game. I mean, that was a legitimate, last year it was 32-23, but Brock never really truly was in that Wimberley game last year. You never thought, oh, Brock's going to pull this out. This game, I legitimately thought when they made the comeback and they were, down 28-27, I thought Brock was going to maybe pull this game out. So you don't think it changes that?
No, Wimberley's just a completely different style of football team.
Yeah.
I think Wimberley's style was more suited to Brock's defense.
Yeah, I get you. And also Gunner was playing with anger.
Yeah. That was beyond anger, dude. They just, I don't know. That Gunner team, man. We can't talk about them because it's 4A right now. But no, it does not take any of the shine off of Wimberley for me. I think Wimberley is darn good, and I could definitely see them back in Arlington.
Oh yeah, I definitely think that, and again, can't go past that with Carthage, because whenever you feel, again, the joke is if Carthage gets the state, I like Wimberley, and I think they would match up well. And then I remember last year was 42-0, and it's just
a lot of people think they match up well.
Yeah,
with Carthage. Not a lot of people, but
I think on paper they probably match up the best as far as 4A Division 2. All right, let's go out. We do a show each and every week called the Canyon ISD Show, brought to you by Nicole Thompson.
Coach X not have a
no, he didn't have a thing on that one. But we do a show, Canyon ISD. In fact, you might hear this segment on that show. Thanks to Nicole Thompson State Farm out there in Amarillo. But Canyon West Plains, the Wolves, they take on Lubbock Estacado. I think this is going to be
going to be a dandy.
I have a feeling this would have been a game we jumped out to, because this is about that time of year we like to go see maybe a couple teams we kind of had off the radar.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is going to be a dandy. Lubbock Estacado, man, they have kind of announced themselves as back with their depth this year and their talent and what they're doing to teams. Now, they're not beating the best of the best, but I mean, these are the same teams they usually play in non-district every year, and there's 4-0, outscoring opponents by an average of like 52-14. But they're taking on a Canyon West Plain team that I still feel that they still feel that they probably should have beat Bushland to begin things. And since then, they've been rolling against the same teams, mind you. These two teams play a lot of the same teams. I like this matchup. This is going to be a fun one.
Yeah, I think West Plains is going to push this Escado defense. You know, West Plains quarterback Reed Macon has thrown for about 1,100 yards so far this year. And then he's got a really good receiver in Jordy Hernandez. But, West Plains may be struggling a little bit on defense. I mean, they did give up 47 to a really good Bushland offense, right?
Yeah.
But Estacado and DJ Johnson at quarterback, dual threat quarterback, Bobby Ross, one of the best running backs up in that part of the state, and then Cedric Ross at receiver. This Estacado offense is for real.
Yeah, it's very for real. Again, Estacado's, it's always been, even when they've had good defenses, it's playing good defense in key moments.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is a perfect little primer game before district play gets started for them to see how they respond. Because I think this is going to be the best offense they've played so far this year.
All right, who you got? I got Estacado.
I got Estacado. I think Estacado's just a little bit bigger, a little bit more athletic. I'm curious, though, West Plains, last year, this was the game that they kind of announced themselves because they upset Estacado and they went from being 0-3 and then they went on that winning streak until they lost to Seminole in district. So I'm just curious to see if maybe it's a matchup thing, but we'll find out after this one. Let's see what Coach X has to say. Man, I tell you what, this is the Old West game of the week. Sounds like two different John Wayne movies or just one really long, awesome one. John Wayne and the posse of the Estacado West Plains, or John Wayne and Robert Mitchum in the hunt for the West Plains Comanches and Estacado Apaches. And when John Wayne and Robert Mitchum were in the same movie together, you knew two things were going to happen. Some bad guys were going to die and some sass-mouthed woman was going to be put in her place. So listen up, Pilgrims. West Plains is going to search it up and get a W.
Oh, all right.
I don't have a problem with that call.
No.
I think this is going to be one of the best games of the week in 4A.
All right. Well, here's a good one. Conley at Brownwood.
This is going to be terrible.
You think so?
No, I'm kidding. Conley, we talked about them all year in the offseason. We talked about, if they can find the defense, they can score with anybody. That's kind of becoming the issue with them. They're going to score with anybody.
Kiefer Sibley at running backs ran for about 1,100 yards. Kobe Black at receiver / defensive back, one of the best athletes in the state,
Yep.
right? So, but they're going to test this Brownwood defense.
This is a scoring.
Brownwood's going to test the Conley defense with Ike Hall and everything, but man.
This is maybe the first 1 to 50 wins.
Yeah.
And of course that means it'll be a 10-9 game like that Kansas City.
I think the X factor in this game is going to be Conley's quarterback, Jamarian Vincent. He's a true dual threat quarterback. Two great dual threat quarterbacks in this game. I'm going Conley. I don't know if this will be an upset or not, but I'm going with this Conley offense.
I'm going Conley with a slight upset on the road. I don't think it's a big upset. Again, I know we say this a lot, but we always feel we want to prime things. I don't think we're going to feel any less about either of these two teams after this game.
No.
Coach X doesn't have anything for this one.
All right. Decatur versus Alvarado. Decatur's running back Nate Palmer, and then two great receivers in Landon Felt and Luke White. Decatur's, they played a killer schedule, right?
Yeah, but stop me if you've heard this about a 4A team.
Okay.
A hell of an offense, but they've got to figure things out defensively, and we're literally talking about both of these teams, the exact same thing.
Yeah.
But Decatur's schedule, and also Stephenville game, I'm not going to say it comes with an asterisk, but the weather stoppage and all that, Decatur's going to be fine.
Yeah.
I think that
I saw them. I saw that game against Anna, and in a loss, I was very impressed with Decatur.
Yes, I am more looking at this game to see Alvarado again.
Yeah, is Cardia Collier, the quarterback, is he playing? I don't know if he played against Rusk.
Yeah, I didn't hear anything about that, so we'll try to check in on that.
If maybe email us.
Yeah, please. Grant and Terry at s2ssport.com. Find us on Facebook. Just type in Sideline on Twitter at Grant and Terry, and just let us know again. That's how we get valuable information. And I want to go ahead and say again, thanks to everybody. We've had a lot of team information being sent to us this year, and we really, really do appreciate it. But yeah, I just want to see how Alvarado bounces back after the loss to Rusk. I want to see how Decatur, they get their first win. They might be kind of relaxing now. We just figuring, they knew it was going to be tough. I think they thought that they would probably win 2 or 3 though. So to be 1-3, I think that there's a little bit of chip on the shoulder there. I like Decatur in this one. I do think it's a high scoring game though.
Yeah, me too. All right. Silsby.
Hang on. Coach. You'd already forgot
he
about
said
him.
he was quitting.
I know that. He never does what he says. Decatur versus Alvarado. Decatur used to have this coach that I really liked. We beat them in a freshman basketball tournament, and he said, "Let's go win the toilet bowl." That always stuck to me for a couple reasons. One, there are no bowl games in basketball, and 2, they sucked and they got whipped in the toilet bowl game too. Nevertheless, I have a hard time picking Alvarado because years ago I dated. Well, hold up. Let's say I was familiar with a lady from the land of the Indians, and in tribute to Charlie Robinson, let's just say she wasn't the best, but she was the best that I could do. She was very appreciative of those things, all the memories. Let's go, Decatur.
All right.
Wow.
All right. Roundabout way to get to a Decatur win.
His whole life's a roundabout way.
All right. Silsby versus West Orange Stark. Silsby's quarterback, Michael Moser, is thrown for about 1,100 yards, and he's got 2 of the best receivers in the state, and Draylon Miller and Ashton Cartwright.
Yeah.
I mean, what else are you going to do? And Silsby can run the football down their throat if they want to.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing about this Silsby team. It feels like we've been building up to this for the last 4 or 5 years, and they've always been just one thing's a little off, or they get in the game and what normally works doesn't. Or Cuero last year, controversy at the very end. I don't know, man. Silsby is just. I'll put it to you this way, all jokes aside, if there's a team that can push Carthage in a state championship, in a region final, I think Silsby could be that team. Push. I'm not saying beat. I'm saying I think Silsby could push.
There's nobody they can't play with, and there's nobody that Silsby can't beat if they play their game.
Okay, I thought you were about to disagree with me, but you agree.
No, I'm not. I mean, look, Carthage, yeah, that's a tough out, but that's the finals. We're not talking about that. But I think if Silsby plays their game and plays mistake-free, I don't know who can beat them. I agree, man. I don't know. I'm not saying Carthage can't, because Silsby's got to prove to me that they can beat Carthage.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Again, we're not even close to that yet. We're just starting district. But I like Silsby in this one by 2 touchdowns over West Orange Stark.
Yeah, last year this game was like 48-27. I think West Orange Stark's offense is way better this year.
Yeah,
but I still see it being a 49-28 type game. I think Silsby's just too deep.
Yeah, and Silsby's offense just puts so much pressure on the other team.
All right, let me see here. We got one more from Coach X.
Okay.
All right. Am I the only one that can't look at West Orange Stark and see WOS and not think of NOS, that's NOS, and just see Vin Diesel and Paul Walker racing down the street, and the only good line in any of those movies is, "Dude, I almost had you," and then Vin Diesel saying, "Almost had me." Every time those movies come out, I'm like, okay, this one looks good, and then the credit rolls, and I'm like, damn it, Vin Diesel, you got me again. So I will fall into the trap again and take the Fast and Furious WOS Mustang. So let's go for I think would be a little
upset. Huh?
I think that would be a pretty big upset, actually.
Yep. All right. 2 quick hitters before we head out for the night. Paris versus Pleasant Grove.
Hey, Paris, everybody that has beat Paris this year, I'm not kidding. Every fan base that has talked to us after they've beat Paris, being Salina, being Gilmer,
I saw that Salina game
yes,
online.
And being Van, all 3 of them have been.
Did I not tell you Paris is not as bad as what people are saying after seeing that?
And that's what all of them have said. Literally, it's been like, hey, they're working things out offensively. Yep. They've got to figure that out, and they're going to be fine. Now, in saying that, against good offenses, their defense struggles. Wow, we keep saying that. It's a broken record. This is an interesting game because I think I'm not saying Paris is going to play with Pleasant Grove, but I don't think it's going to be a 4 or 5 touchdown game. I like Pleasant Grove in this game, but I think Paris is going to give them a game.
I do. I think they could. Look, Pleasant Grove cannot afford to play with their food. In this game, right? You need to come out and establish yourself early if you're the Hawks. Otherwise, Paris can be a thorn in your side. I like Pleasant Grove to pull away in this game in the 3rd quarter, but don't be surprised to see Paris pushing Pleasant Grove.
Yeah,
it's not like Pleasant Grove will go out there and just throw down like a stellar offensive performance, right? They have, but that's not their MO, right?
Well, and Pleasant Grove, we were very excited about them. Still very excited about them into this year.
Oh, absolutely.
Their offense seems to maybe be coming around. They scored 45 against Midland Christian last week. They scored 63 against Memorial. But so far, when they've played a couple good defenses, their offense has struggled. I just don't think Paris is a good defense, but I do think Paris can score on them enough to make it a game, not enough to win. I still like Pleasant Grove in this game.
Yeah, me too. All right, and then 3-1 Van versus 4-0 Brownsboro. I believe that's over in Brownsboro Classic Stadium, right? Is it still playing that old stadium?
I think they do. If not, let me know. I once broadcast the game from behind or on the field all the way into the corner because the press box was terrible.
So you weren't supposed to be broadcasting it. You snuck in, and
no, actually, we were the Brownsboro broadcast team. It's just
weird they didn't give you a seat.
You know how stadiums. That was 20 years ago.
I like Van in this game.
Yeah, I like Van this game, and I think Van will win by a good margin. It's just good.
Are you saying that 4-0 is an empty 4-0 for Brownsboro?
I mean, can they be when you? So this has been their run the last few years: 3-8, 2-8, 1-7, 5-6, and that was a big surprise year. Everybody was like, "Oh wow, they're 5-6." Last year, 2-8. So no, 4 wins. I mean, they've only had 4 wins once in the last 7 years.
And a win's a win.
A win's a win. But yeah, when you look at it, they beat Athens by 1 point. Now, Athens is solid now.
Mm-hmm.
They beat Fairfield by 7. Fairfield is not solid. They beat Spring Hill last week by 1 point. Now, Spring Hill is a kind of being maybe a little bit of a surprise team themselves. But now, I just, when you look at who Van has played, and Van's been very inconsistent this year, but I think a lot of that's, again, who they've played. The Vandals on the year, they beat Pine Tree, they lose to Chapel Hill, they beat Lindell, they beat Paris. I think I thought they would beat Paris by more, but they still won. That's all that matters. I think Van goes in. This is an old school rivalry from back in the 4A when they were in the same district days. I think Van wins 41-14 type.
Okay, I can see that.
All right.
Is that it?
Yeah, I don't think Coach X has anything else either.
Okay.
Sweet. It's been a weird
week. You
week.
have fun down in Wimberley.
Yes, sir. You have fun getting.
And then we'll meet back and go to a game next Friday.
Now, is this before we file the annulment paperwork or after?
No.
You're just going to go ahead and mail that in?
Yeah.
Yeah, your lawyer called. You're just like, just tell Grant I'm there. I'm ready on standby. But no, yeah. So again, I just want to remind everybody we're not going to be doing a traditional show next week. I'll figure out something, or not. If not, just check our social media, Facebook, Sideline to Sideline, on Twitter @Grant and Terry. Email us any questions, thoughts, comments. Give us some information about your team. Grant and Terry at S2SSport.com. Find our show at S2SGrantandTerry.com. The audio only. Find us on YouTube at L4 Media Company. And
when we're back, it'll be right in the heart of district in 2 weeks, right?
Yeah, we're going to be almost fully in district. I think that'd be even for the smaller teams. Bye weeks will be done. We're going to be ready, and we're going to rock and roll for the rest of the season because, as we said, man, it's already week 5.
Playoffs coming soon.
Until next time, he's Grant Goodwin. I'm Terry Bennett. This has been Sideline to Sideline, the 4A edition, brought to you by SI Design and Printing on L4 Media. State lines rubbing to